Let's now welcome in our special guest to the PHNX Suns Podcast. Trevor Lane, host of Lakers Nation, joins us now to talk about the Los Angeles Lakers. Trevor, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Excited for the start of the NBA season, which is just around the corner here. But thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So listen, I think it might be safe to say this, but I'll get your opinion on it. Are the expectations for the Lakers this year championship or bust?
Yeah, I mean that's some Lakers fans every year, regardless of what the team looks like. But yeah, I mean, look, I think they had a really nice offseason, and they've got obviously LeBron James, Anthony Davis. If they can keep this team healthy come postseason, I think that potential is out there for them to win a championship. So yeah, if the potential is there, that's always going to be the expectation for the Lakers.
You mentioned it with the offseason there. I think the Suns and Lakers had two of the best offseasons in the entire NBA. You guys extend Anthony Davis and Jared Vanderbilt. You re-sign Reaves and D'Angelo Russell and Rui. You add Gabe Vincent, Taurean Prince, like all of these guys. Just can I get your general thoughts on the offseason that you guys had and how much some of those depth moves could help you for the upcoming season?
I mean, what a difference a year makes, right? That's really, I mean, when we're looking at the decision-making process of the front office and just the entire team building process that they went through compared to where they were a couple of seasons ago, even last summer, it's night and day. They have gone away from that 3-star model that just didn't work, that nobody was asking for, except for maybe a few players on the Lakers. But that fans were hoping to see that the team that actually lost to your Phoenix Suns in 2021. A lot of people were hoping to see that team brought back. Instead, they blew it up, and they went with this 3-star model. It was a disaster. It was a nightmare of 2 seasons for the Lakers, and now it feels like they've got back on track, and they've realized that 3-star model didn't make the most sense, particularly with the pieces that they were trying to add in, and now going at it with depth, and not just depth, but young players who still have some experience. You've got a lot of guys who are in their mid-20s with Rui Hachimura, with Jared Vanderbilt, Austin Reaves, D'Angelo Russell. Even Taurean Prince is 29. Aside from Anthony Davis and LeBron James, nobody on this team is 30 or over, which if you said that a year ago, especially 2 years ago, we were talking about Trevor Ariza and Wayne Ellington and the like, man, it's been a major shift for the Lakers front office. So it's been a much better roster build. I think we'll see how it all plays out, but on paper, this team is much improved, particularly with the depth that they've got now.
Trevor, I got a question. I mean, this is probably a tough thing for you to answer right now. With all the turnover we had, piggybacking off that question, what would you say right now on paper, without seeing them yet, is the Lakers' biggest strength and biggest weakness going into the season based on what you can see on paper?
So biggest strength that I see is their versatility. I've been asking for wing depth for years. I think that that's a very big key for NBA teams in the modern game. And finally, the Lakers have it with those guys, Rui and Vando and et cetera. You've got Taurean Prince, even Cam Reddish. Can he get into the mix there? Of course, that LeBron guy. I think that is a major strength of theirs, is that they have a lot of different ways that you can play because they have so much depth on the wing. They can play big. They can play smaller. They can go with a more scoring-friendly lineup with a guy like Rui out there. Vanderbilt gives you some more defensive looks that you can go to. So I think they have a lot of versatility to mix and match. Can be a tough thing, though, too, if you make the wrong decisions with your roster choices, or your lineup choices. But I do think that is a strength of theirs. As far as the weaknesses, I'm looking at the guard position defensively. Austin Reaves and D'Angelo Russell, I think they're a great fit on the offensive end, but they did rely a lot on Dennis Schroeder last year, who's now a Toronto Raptor, to deal with things defensively for them. And can Gabe Vincent step into that role? He's probably not quite as good of a defensive player, so that's putting a lot on Reaves and D'Angelo Russell to defend at a super high level there, and that's going to be a question mark. And then, can you get enough consistency with 3-point shooting? And Lakers fans know it seems like every player that comes to the Lakers as a quote unquote shooter, there's like a 5% dip in their 3-point percentage. It's a Lakers tax, as we call it. Can they find a way to consistently enough hit from behind the arc? That's going to be a question mark for this team as well.
Wow. Maybe this is an easy question, but I was curious, out of the newcomers, who do you think is going to be able to step in there and have the biggest impact right away?
Well, I mean, the dollars tell you that Gabe Vincent should be the guy to really step in, and I think he steps right into the Dennis Schroeder role as the off-the-bench guard. We'll see if he can win a battle with D'Angelo Russell for a starting spot. My guess is D'Lo's got the leg up there. But I think Gabe Vincent is a guy who can step in and can contribute right away. He's a guy who's going to be required to do so. But the guy I've really got my eye on, it's Taurean Prince, has shot 44% on corner threes for 3 straight seasons. We'll see if that Lakers tax is in effect or not. But I thought he was a really nice pickup. I was surprised when the Wolves let him go at $7 million and change, decided not to pick up their option there. They had some concerns, cap wise and everything elsewhere. But for the Lakers to get him at $4.5 million, I thought that was a bargain, and he's a guy that I'm really high on.
If the Suns and the Lakers met in the Western Conference Finals, what do you think that series would look like?
Man, I think first of all, Adam Silver would be smiling ear to ear if they could get that. This would be fantastic for the NBA if they could get that matchup. KD against LeBron out there. Hopefully, fingers crossed, everybody's healthy for that one. I know that's going to be a key for both our clubs. But when I look at how that matchup breaks down, I think the question becomes, can the Suns do enough defensively to stop the Lakers? I think that's one of the question marks about this Suns team. And Frank Vogel is a very good defensive coach. Can he pull them together well enough on the defensive end of the floor? And then on the flip side, do the Lakers have enough defensive players to throw at just this tidal wave of offensive forces that the Suns have? The reality is you've got Reaves and D'Angelo Russell. One of them's going to have to defend. At least one of them's going to have to defend Booker or Bradley Beal. Like, that's tough in and of its own self. And then who's going to defend Kevin Durant? What does that look like? There's some really interesting matchups all over the court. I think it would be a really close, really fun series. And again, I would just be fingers crossed, hoping that everybody is healthy, because we've got so many injury-prone players on both sides of the ball there.
You kind of alluded to it there, but with LeBron and AD, it feels like you guys have not been able to have them both healthy at the same time for the right time of year. Last year, we kind of saw it. You guys get to the Western Conference Finals. Is that just kind of on your list of concerns for the Lakers? Is that number one, just getting those guys on the floor?
Yeah, ultimately they've got to stay healthy. And I think that part of what we saw happen this past season was you saw LeBron December, January kind of push down on the turbo button a bit when the team was kind of struggling a bit. They had that 2-10 start to the season, and that was certainly rough. So you saw LeBron have to really kick it into gear earlier in the season than he would have liked. And then he gets hurt. Anthony Davis comes in. He's got to do a lot of heavy lifting as the team makes that playoff push towards the end of the season. By the Western Conference Finals, it really felt like they just ran out of gas. So the hope for this team is that the depth that they've provided the squad with will allow them to not have to burn so much energy just getting into the postseason. The West this year, who knows? It's going to be crazy, but hopefully not have to burn quite as much energy getting to the postseason, and then have something left when they get there, and ideally, avoid some injuries, because some of the other guys that are on the team, some of these younger guys with fresh legs, can do a bit more of the heavy lifting.
I got a question. It goes back to the Lakers-Suns series back in 2021. I kind of want to forecast a little bit. In that series, you always got the stars. You got LeBron, you got Anthony Davis. In that series, you had Book and CP. Forecast out and looking towards the Lakers playoff this year. You need luck to win a championship. You need the right things to fall the right way. We know we have LeBron, we got Anthony Davis. Who's the guy that you think in the playoffs will take that leap and potentially be the third guy that you're going to need to win a championship or make a deep playoff run? Every team needs it. Who do you think on this roster is ready to take that leap and be the sidekick to LeBron and Anthony Davis in the playoffs?
I think we've already seen it. It's Austin Reaves. Okay. Austin Reaves has he did it this past year in the playoffs. It blew my mind. I couldn't believe it as it was happening, but there they are at the end of game 1 against the Memphis Grizzlies. There's like 2 minutes left in the game, and the ball is being run through Austin Reaves. I'm going, oh my gosh, this guy's undrafted, and LeBron James and Anthony Davis are on the floor, and they're running pick and roll with Austin Reaves as the ball handler, and he's the guy taking the shots. Yeah. Now, the defense was giving him those looks, but still, he stepped up big time. We saw him play pretty darn well with Team USA at the FIBA World Cup. So I think he's the guy, particularly on the offensive end of the floor, that they're going to look to step up quite a bit. The postseason didn't seem to faze him. Sometimes you get those players where their first experience in the playoffs, like we know it. I mean, the level of play, it ramps up, and that can get to players. And we see those guys who fade in those moments. Austin just continued to do his thing, and he did the same thing in the FIBA World Cup. Just kept doing the things that he does. So the pressure didn't seem to bother him. So I think he's the guy they can rely upon to step up in those big moments, to hit some big shots, to handle the basketball, to do all the things that he does. And his growth has been absolutely tremendous for the team, and really inspirational to see, just given that he went from being an undrafted player to where he's at now.
Absolutely.
All right, Trevor. So I got one last question for you. Obviously, winning time just wrapped up. And I know that us out here, not even as Lakers fans, we're pretty bummed to see it wrapped up. But I can't imagine how it's been for LA people for it to end on that note. With the Celtics win, are people out there dying for a renewal somewhere so it can end on a happier note?
Yeah, we're hoping that it gets picked up on Netflix or something like that, because it was such a tremendous series, and I enjoyed watching it. It's been a lot of fun getting to watch that era, kind of the part of the era that I grew up in, and getting to see that again. I do hope that it gets picked up somewhere, because it was so much fun just watching that and reliving all of that stuff. And I do hope that they wind up finishing it on a happier note. I don't think that was the intention. When they wrote the series, they were looking ahead to a season 3, and it just didn't wind up happening. They had to go, Empire with this one and end on a down note, and with the intention of, finishing it, and they didn't get the opportunity to. So hopefully that does come, because certainly finishing with the Celtics championship that does not feel right.
It didn't. And it was supposed to be cool, because season 2 was supposed to end with that shot of Magic in the shower locker room, like brooding and like setting up the revenge for the next season. And now we just don't even get a season 3. I hope someone picks it up.
Yeah.
Sometimes life just isn't fair, right?
Yeah.
We know that as Suns people.
Trevor, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time, and everyone watching and listening, make sure to give him a follow on Twitter at Trevor_Lane. Thanks, Trevor.
No problem. Thanks for having me.